hate to see the Christmas music go, I am going to go ahead and officially open up the meeting and call it to order. And if I can please get a roll call.
Thank you, Chair. Richard Farias, Diana Lopez, Diana Martinez, Frank Gonzalez, Dr. Julian Villarreal, Chair Lawson Picasso, Dr. Adelita Cantu, Michael Kinnick, Tom Corser, Vanessa Alvarado, Chris Fullerton, Sarah Villarreal, Frank Dunn, Peter Onofre, Vice Chair Steve Bonnet, Aaron Stein, Bob Zapata, Maria Nelson, with 10 members, Chair, you have quorum.
Thank you. Bless you. All right, now I am going to hand it over. Thank you so much. You are amazing. I am going to hand it over to staff for a safety message, pledge of allegiance, and the invocation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Apologize. All right, for a safety tow board today, we are located at 500 McCullough Avenue. Please take a look. We have 3 exits located on the back side and 3 exits located at the front. In the event of an emergency, to call 911 will be available Corona. To direct emergency response would be Mr. Matthew Jones. For AED, it will be myself. For CPR, it will be one of the members here at CPS Energy. For the fire extinguisher, it will be myself. Please take a look around you for the present hazards. We have people, we have items, we have personal belongings, including cords. For that, we'll go ahead and transition over to the invocation. Please bow your heads. We thank you for the many blessings you have freely given to each of us. We ask for your presence to guide this meeting of the CPS Energy, CIC, Community Input Committee. Provide them with the knowledge, compassion, and wise counsel needed as they discuss the business matters on the agenda today. Help us all to remember that we are stewards acting on behalf of our customers, and provide us with the grace to serve all people well. We ask this in your name. Amen. Now, if we can please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All righty, and do we have anybody signed up for public comment?
Chair, we have one public speaker, Ms. Erica Alvarado.
Great. All right, then we will move into public comment.
I'll keep it quick. Hi, my name is Eric Alvarado, and I live and work in District 2. I'm here to again speak about the importance of the CIC subcommittee meetings being made open to the public and transparently reported. I also wanted to mention data centers and highlight the current CCR from Rick Galvan's office. This will be heard at tomorrow's City Council meeting. It's very important that infrastructure for data centers should be paid by the data center owners and companies, not San Antonio residents. We also need to work to limit power and water usage by these data centers so that we are able to prioritize the people of San Antonio, especially during extreme weather. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now I am going to divert a little bit from the agenda because our CPS Energy CEO is here. So Rudy, I'm going to give you the floor, put you on the spot, and if you want to give some remarks, the floor is all yours.
Well, happy holidays. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving and is looking forward to Happy Hanukkah or a Merry Christmas or whatever it is that you and your family and loved ones celebrate. I don't know that I have a whole lot new information for you today. I think last meeting I came and talked about, we've got a lot of really big, strategy work to do over the next, I don't know, Dr. Romero, 6 months, right? And we've got a generation plan that we're trying to update, that we're starting the process right now of getting out in the community and having those conversations. I was on Texas Public Radio today, and I would encourage you to go and have a listen. They'll post that as a podcast, I think, probably by the end of the day today. But we spent most of our time talking about, kind of what we're doing and why, and spent probably a good 45 minutes taking questions from callers, which I love to do. I know not everybody always agrees with all of my perspectives, but I offer them up, transparently, because that's the whole point, right? The point is to engage with our customers in a way that allows them to give us feedback and to understand why, we're doing and talking about the things that we're doing. So we're starting that process. We're not going to rush it. It'll look a little different than it did last time, because we're really just updating what we already, the work that we already did with some updated variables, and then we'll have a conversation, with you all, with the board, with council, with the community, about, okay, if we say we want to do these things, if we want more solar, if we want more batteries, if we feel good about our gas hey, good morning. Good afternoon. If we feel good about where we're at on the gas side, here's what the financial picture looks like. That drives our budget. That drives our conversation with the board and council next year about, our financial condition and what we can afford to do and what maybe we can't afford to do, and then we go from there. But, I feel good about the fact that I think we've got the process kind of repeatably right, in terms of, not everybody's going to have input, but anybody who has input, I think, will have the opportunity to give it to us. And that's the goal, and to give our board options of things that they feel like keep us on track with meeting the expectation of our community, which really at the end of the day is all I care about. Are we doing the job as a publicly owned entity that our community expects us to do? And are we doing it, at a reasonable cost, and are we doing it reliably at the end of the day? So, we've got our budget will go to the board in February, and, we'll have a series of conversations with them also about the gen plan, and we'll present the gen plan when the board's ready to vote on it, right? We're not rushing it, but there are financial implications of what we decide we want to do that will factor into our budget. So, the likelihood is, we'll approve a budget, and then if we got to make any adjustments based on the strategy that we choose to push forward on, then that's kind of what we'll do. So, I don't ever want, anyone to feel like, we're locking in on anything. Whatever we decide, we can adjust as we need to based on, the feedback that we get and whatever means we're asked to live within, which is a dynamic I think that will certainly be a part of the conversation this coming year. So like I said, just a lot of work to do. The gen plan will inform our Vision 2030 conversation, which will inform our budget, which will inform, whatever level of rate support we may or may not need, right? And we won't know that until we decide this is the plan, and then we kind of go through the process from there. SAWS will be in. I know, they've been talking about that. Their board meeting was yesterday. That came up in the conversation with TPR today. And so, we recognize all of this as part of one big conversation that we'll have to manage through. So, we'll start that process whenever the timing is appropriate. Any questions? Yes, Chris.
Mike.
Quick comment and question. I heard TPR today. Thank you for the push to get out there with the public and public engagement. And I was hearing a lot of callers with questions about affordability, sustainability, and reliability. What do you know, the big three? And also, as Ms. Alvarado pointed out, questions about data centers. So that looks like that's getting an even larger percentage of the national conversation, and with midterms next year, I'm sure it'll continue to be on people's minds. You mentioned in the interview about the regularity of having conversations about rate adjustments, and you suggested at least every other year. And I'm wondering, do you think the idea would be to make people accustomed to having those conversations so that maybe we did it every year, not to have the, not to drive fear into people's hearts, but to just get people accustomed to the fact that we need to have a conversation about the cost of services provided?
The answer to the question is yes. I'd like to have that conversation with the community every year. We present our budget, and that's kind of the starting point for where we think we are, financially. We have a set of metrics that really indicate the financial health of CPS Energy, and when those get stressed, that's the timing to go in and have a conversation, about rate support. We were really supposed to go in last year, and because of some of the flexibility we've created with the addition of, of our generation, of execution of our generation plan, we've been able to kind of push that off, to next year. So we're already kind of better than we thought we would be in that regard. But whether you need the support or not, you got to have, the community has to know, this is what it costs to run a reliable utility. Like that's the calculus you're solving for. It's not, that I just want to go in for a rate increase because it's time. We go in for a rate increase when it's necessary. Two different things, right? But I'll tell you, for most utilities, and I won't call them out by name, but there are a lot of my colleagues around the country who have, gone to their communities saying, hey, we need 5.5%, 6.5% a year for the next 5 years. Some of them in Texas. I don't know that that's ever going to be a situation that's acceptable in San Antonio, but I think a regular conversation is necessary. That's how we ensure we're doing our jobs and we're getting ahead of the investment that's coming. And I said it today, on the radio. I don't make an investment today for tomorrow. I'm making an investment today for 5 years from now, because that's how long it's going to take us to get things built, right? Transmission lines take 3 to 5 years, depending upon what it is that we're building. Power plants may take 7 years because of the supply chain challenges that we're facing right now to build something, which is why we're going out and buying it, right? There's some regulations that are gonna that I'd like to really force us to accelerate some of the builds for our solar and battery storage, assets, or not ours, but the PPAs that we're signing, because in 27 there's some new regulations that come into play that it'd be nice to get ahead of, if we can. So all those dynamics drive us into, trying to do the right thing with enough time to plan appropriately. And one of the things that you heard me say today, when we don't go in and have a thoughtful conversation about rate support, it forces us to maybe make less economical decisions. You'd make the decisions available to you because some things have been taken off the table, right? I always want us to have all the options on the table so we can make the most affordable decision for our customers. That is what we're trying to do. And sometimes affordable means we got to ask for rate support, right? And that's probably also the most transparent thing to do, which is what we're really trying to accomplish. Steve.
Rudy, thanks again for joining us today. It's
Yeah.
always great to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
But as we're kind of nearing the end of the year, and I'm thinking ahead to 26, we've got, I know the Gen Plan update has been high on our agenda, and we've looked at that a couple of times. And you just mentioned the possible look at rate adjustments. Do you see any other issues? Do you anticipate any issues in 26 where this committee, can work and can help you and or the board that you see coming up that we should anticipate?
I think it's important for you to understand, pretty much every element of our business. I mean, there's investment we have to make in our gas system, to ensure that, we're at our gas system is, and I'm talking about our LDC, our distribution company. How we move gas around San Antonio is something we've been working on over time. So I think there's a conversation about that next year that's appropriate, because we still got some projects that we're working on there. I think understanding our transmission plan, and I mean, there was phase 2 of our 765 build in Texas got approved this week. Yesterday, Kathy? Anyway. Yeah, what's today? Wednesday. It was yesterday by ERCOT. So we got some more projects like the one that we're building right now going out towards Fort Stockton that will be on the agenda. So I think, these are billion-dollar projects that, that you all have to understand, why they're meaningful to us. I mean, next year there's a line that should come into service by the end of next year that will alleviate, a constraint we have on the south side of town on our transmission system. Every time something like that happens, it gives us a little bit more flexibility, and buys us some time, right? I mean, because at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about. When you've got these really, transformational moments in your industry where your infrastructure is being, challenged isn't the right word, but, where your limits are being challenged. Right? I mean, you got to understand how we're meeting those challenges in those moments, because it has long-term implications on our business, has long-term implications on how we pay for it, on what, investment decisions we're making, on how we might need to reorganize the company, to address them. I mean, there's all kinds of decisions that are coming for CPS Energy that are going to change the way we do things, so I would just tell you, I think our goal is always to come here and make sure you understand, when you see things in the paper or you hear me say certain things, why it's important, and if you have some feedback for us on it, then, our goal has always been that you're comfortable giving it to us. Yes.
Just a comment, I want to make sure that CPS Energy stays on track with the climate goals under the City of San Antonio Climate Action Adaptation Plan. A big part of that is ensuring that we're on track to shut down the Spruce coal plant. We are already in non-attainment for air quality here locally, and shutting down Spruce, getting rid of those emissions is going to be a big portion of improving air quality, but also meeting the climate goals. And I know there's been some discussion about maybe converting one of the Spruce units to gas, but I have offered information to CPS staff to start the discussion about different scenarios for Spruce, and in particular, investigating converting Spruce to a thermal storage unit that will be supplied by excess renewables. So this is technology that already exists, and we can use existing infrastructure. Obviously, Spruce being a thermoelectric plant, thermal storage is a good fit. So I would like to see those scenarios going forward when we're discussing how to shut down Spruce.
Well, that is precisely what we're doing as part of the Gen Plan. Is what's on our list of things to do, and what else could we do, or what can we change about our Gen Plan that will allow us to do some of those things. I mean, I've been on record. I am big on any kind of storage. That's why we're investing in pilot programs with Quidnet is the company we're working in. That's a geothermal type project. And I used to lament that the geothermal resource, the geological resources for geothermal weren't close enough to us to actually take advantage of. But there are companies building geothermal plants that we could buy power from, and I think you'll see us, pursue those as those become real opportunities. The Spruce units, it'll be an interesting conversation as we get through the Gen Plan, because I tend to be a leader that tries to focus on what I can control. And I think we made the right decisions as it pertains to Spruce. If we need to consider something different, then, put it on the table and we'll run that through the process. But there has been activity by the current administration that's prevented people from closing power plants down early. And if that dynamic factors into our process, then we're going to have to be pragmatic about what that means for us. So I have not come off of my commitment to moving away from coal. I think it's the right thing to do. I know I have support on my board to continue to go down that road. But, again, that's only if I'm allowed control over moving forward with that decision. If the administration comes in and says, nope, not shutting the plant down, then I got to figure out, okay, well, then what do my options become at that point in time? So, and they've already done it 3 times. Now, it's limited. I think they have 90 days at a time. They can push they can prevent you from moving forward. But those dynamics are playing out, and we have a little bit of time to see, how that all plays out. So don't leave here feeling like we're not committed to doing the right thing, because we've already made that decision. Yeah. And thank you, Dr. Viado. I appreciate the feedback.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you, Rudy.
What else? Is that it? Okay.
I think it is. I think it is. I think you're off the hook
Am I getting
now.
the hook?
I think I think that they're pulling the ear back here. No,
All
I'm
right.
kidding. No. You have the floor as long as you want, but I know that your time is precious. So thank you so much for being here and always supporting us. So we really appreciate
Well,
it.
thank you for what you all do, and again, hope everybody has a great holidays. Watch your tamale intake, because mine's already getting out of control.
Absolutely not. They're my favorite gifts to unwrap. Additionally, I just want to acknowledge that we have Chair Romero with us today. So thank you so much for being here and being here with us, especially with the time change. So thank you so much. Alrighty, folks. I'm going to move back into agenda. We have next up on the agenda the CIC working group reports. So if I know that Bob isn't here, but Maria, do you want to go ahead and just give a brief overview of what you guys discussed? Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Or I can go to somebody else if you want a minute. Okay.
I can take it, if that. All right. Thank you, Chair. Our working group met in earlier this month, or earlier last month, I should say, and we were fortunate to have an update on CPS Energy's Energy to Business Customer Program. We talked about, we got to hear and a lot of insights and ask a lot of questions, and so one of those items were how they continue to go out to these small businesses and making sure that they're aware of all the resources that CPS Energy does provide. A really interesting number that was shared with us is that E2B team serves 90,000 small and business customers through our community. That's a lot of businesses. And I think the staff is probably a group of 3. So 90,000 small businesses that we are touching with a mighty team of 3. Pretty impressive, and something that I think we should continue just to share, that we, as CPS Energy does, we do everything we can to inform them of those resources. We did talk about how can we continue to make sure that the information that they need to be aware of is being shared, and we looked at CPS Energy's YouTube profile page, and we suggested a dedicated thread or video line for the small businesses to get their information. I know today, we're always on Instagram and TikTok and digesting information through the video content, so that may be something that could be beneficial for the businesses. The other item that we discussed, really small little details such as billing and account management. Again, there's a lot of resources, online, auto pay, Apple Pay, but we also made the suggestion, is it possible for these small businesses to have ACH set up right? One less step, one less fee, go straight from account to account. Maybe it's something we look into. But overall, if you're not aware of the CPS Energy, Energy to Business, take a look at the web page and you'll definitely learn more.
Thank you so much. And just to ensure that the community knows, all the meeting notes from the working groups can be found with the agenda packet, correct? Yes, okay. So anybody can just take a look at that. Steve, do you want to give an update from your working group?
Yes, hopefully you all have gotten the notes from our working group and been able to review that. But our working group in December focused on, I'm sorry, not December, November. This is December. Okay. November, we focused on where CPS is going with renewable and what the opportunities are to grow renewable resources and how we're doing that and how we're doing so far. And I think the staff gave us an update there in their plan that they're actually moving ahead, kind of ahead of schedule. I think particularly the solar program, and I think many of you may have seen there was CPS advertised and request for proposal for additional solar this just in the last couple of weeks. So we're certainly moving ahead of schedule on a lot of those programs. And then some of the things we talked about, the ways to, one of the keys to moving ahead with additional wind and solar was using battery storage, and where we're going with the technology on improvements to battery storage. Those are keys to improving all of those. So we got a pretty good range of what the staff is looking at in both the near and the long-term future. And some other things came up. We talked a little bit about hydrogen, geothermal. Those are some things that I think we'll have to get a little more information as we move closer to substantial investment in on those technologies. But I think that's kind of a good, very short summary, because I know we want to get on to bigger and better things. Thank you, Lawson.
Thank you so much, Steve. I know that Richard is not here. Also, for record's sake, I just want to point that we did have representatives from District 4 and District 2 show up after roll call, so I just want to recognize that so we have a correct count for who is in attendance today. And please forgive me, who is Richard's vice for this working group? Do we know? Okay, they're not present. So we don't have, is anybody from that working group here that would like to just give a recap? Do you have it? Do you want it? For record, for the people that are live streaming is why we would need a mic. Thank you, Maria.
Hello. All right. So representing the Customer Relations and Communications Working Group, y'all bear with me since I didn't prepare for my remarks here. We did receive a presentation and an update on the CPS Energy's Vision 2030 Generation Plan engagement strategy. We've actually been looking at this over the last couple sessions and seen it evolve. It's been both encouraging and enlightening to see how serious the team takes their engagement strategy and their communication with the community, and how thoughtful they are with that process. And so we've seen the evolution of the material that I think will start to be shared, if not already. It may have commenced in November, but it'll definitely start imminently. So some of the updates that were made were regarding community events, strategic checkpoints to the Horizon 2050 long-term strategy, a discussion on the narrative and the approach, just making sure that all of the appropriate touch points were catered for in their agenda, and that they're giving people appropriate opportunities to basically meet CPS meeting people where they are, right? Like if digital is not a comfortable forum for them, then they need to be out at the community events, out at civic centers, out at collaborating with the ream of partners that CPS has, just to make sure that their exposure is both vast and deep. And so I really appreciated them thinking very clearly about where they need to be in order to get the feedback that they need to make that update in the year ahead. We talked a lot about the Casa Verde weatherization program. It's actually a really impressive program, and so it's been around for a while, but they have a new program structure. Specifically, they have a new rebate program, which they just launched in October, and customers are they're able to register, and if they're pre-qualified to weatherize their home. I think they've seen a good deal of success in the past with that, and so they're excited about rolling that out going forward. Some of the goals, they hope to weatherize an additional 16,000 homes by July 31st, 2027. Currently, they have 38% progress to goal, so they have 10,000 homes remaining. Some of the eligibility criteria and the guidelines, it's single-family residences, including mobile homes. The home site value per BCAT has to be under $300,000, and your income qualifications, the energy burden needs to be over than 10% of your income. Those income guidelines have remained unchanged. And so it allows for about $300 of rebate per home, and customers are provided with saving opportunities and next steps. And I think that comprised the bulk of the time, the way that we spent our time this last meeting.
Thank you so much, and thank you for doing that on the spot, so I really appreciate it. Alrighty, folks, well, that is that on the reports. Oh, yes, sir, I'm so sorry. I can acknowledge you, Peter.
Wanted to comment on one of the reports, and first I want to acknowledge Matt and the team for coming out to, last month it was the Southwest Community Neighborhood, and in this month it was the Quintana Neighborhood Association, and I happened to be at both places when they presented on the life cycle generators, which was a great presentation, good feedback, and after the presentation, wasn't related to the presentation, but Councilwoman Terry Castillo has a CCR that is related to a scam that occurred, really I think kind of led up based on a scam that one of the seniors was taken for like $90,000, so she shared at the meeting. And because of that, it was a concern, how do we protect the seniors? And when we talk about Casa Verde, and even with the rooftop solars, I believe it was a rooftop solar contractor, how do we guard against that? Because I know this new iteration has more contractors now, which I get it, we need to be able to make it easier to hit the numbers of homes that get, so I'm all for that. We're getting it out there. But how do we put those safeguards in place to be sure that people aren't being taken, because there's so many contractors now that are taking advantage of our seniors, and not only our seniors, but across the board when they go out there. And it's interesting because, Steve, in our meeting that day, you shared that a solar contractor had come out, you had run into. I went home that day. And a solar contractor was at my door when I got home. And he shared the initiative, and you could feel how you could very easily go into something that you really shouldn't. And so I felt that experience. So Steve, thanks for the heads up coming into that meeting. But when I heard that at our meeting, I just wanted to bring it up here because that program is so important. The partnership with Neighborhood and Housing Services, I hope that continues for the minor home repair. But that's my question, and just for the record, how do we ensure that as we're expanding these contractors that we ensure that we can protect the most vulnerable?
I mean, I'm not a CPS representative, but we did talk about that in our meeting. Frank, you might recall. And I know that CPS, we asked that question, right? Like, what does the oversight look like? How do we make sure that these vendors, these contractors have the best interests of both CPS and the customers in mind. And I know that there is an oversight element to the way that CPS manages the program. And so the response that I received gave me a good deal of comfort, but maybe Frank, you have a little bit more to add on that.
This was brought up, and I've seen, and we've seen the scams going on too, because I've run into that more than one time. The issue was, and it was brought up, which was a very good point, the contact needs to come from the CPS committee to whoever they're doing the house with. Not for no contractor has a right to go to the door and start selling a product, no matter what it is, until it's okayed and it's verified at the time. We did talk about that. So you have something to say.
I'll acknowledge we have KJ Fetter with us. So KJ, I'm sure you have a good response for this.
Well, yeah, I'm so happy to actually be here today because this is one of the programs that is under my purview. So I appreciate the feedback and I appreciate the question. The contractors that we're currently working with, we're calling them trade allies. They're the contractors that have been registered with us throughout the entire weatherization program. So they are people that we know really well. One of the great things about transitioning to the rebate model is it just increases the efficiency and allows customers to get their homes weatherized much more quickly than they were before, and then it also allows them to choose. So in the old model, they registered with us, we went out and looked at the home, and then we said, okay, here's the next available contractor, as soon as they can get to you, they'll get to you. Now they can research the contractors and they can choose one that works for them. And what is also really exciting about this model is should they want to choose to have other work done in their home, like for example, things that weatherization doesn't cover, like filling in the holes in the drywall, they can elect to do that at this time, so it increases that accessibility for them. Otherwise, they'd have to hire somebody else, take more time off work, do all these other things to get their home, into the correct, visible, beautiful, working, thing that they prefer versus, the way that the program is run now. So we've actually received a lot of feedback from customers directly. I appreciate the feedback from you all, and if there's any more feedback, we're always happy to do it because this is a new program, but we're always willing to adjust and make changes because we want to make it better and make it more accessible for our customers.
Steve?
Hey, just while we're talking about community programs, I want to give a big pat on the back to whoever at CPS Energy came with this brilliant idea on Black Friday to take their thermostat program where they control the demand in the peak hours, and the rebate for the smart thermostats went from $90 to $150. And I'll tell you the truth, I'd been thinking about doing that for several months, and you sold me right that day. I signed up. So congratulations, that was a brilliant move.
I am so glad you took advantage of that, and I will pass that along to my peer who I know is responsible for that. So thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Hold on, we need a mic for the live stream. Thank you.
Just a clarification on the rebate, the new rebate program. Is the existing program still active, or is this the rebate program the only chance weatherization people can get their homes weatherized through CPS?
We've sunsetted the old program, and we are only on the rebate program right now.
Okay, and it's the cap is $300.
No, actually, it's not. I wasn't sure where that dollar value came from. They still have the exact same access to all the weatherization that they had before, and then we also have other programs that help pay for additional items. So we have a program called WRAP, that's our weatherization residential assistance repair program that we started that actually received funding from the federal government and also from the city of San Antonio. And that program will help make sure that a home that isn't structurally sound and doesn't pass the inspection and wouldn't be qualified for weatherization, it actually makes minor repairs to those homes so that they can then qualify. So I wasn't sure about the $300, but they still get the exact same value, which is up to about $5,000 in weatherization assistance if they need it, plus the additional assistance from WRAP.
And is there, and you might not have this information right now, but has there been like an increase or a decrease in homes being weatherized? Particularly, I'm wondering if homes that are low income, who might not be able to initially qualify for that upfront funds, and I'm wondering if that's a statistic that's being counted with this new program, and that I'm really curious to see if there might be bridge programs or things like that with the city or even the state on folks who want to do weatherization but can't put that upfront cost.
There is no upfront cost to the customer.
Okay.
Absolutely no. They actually will sign up with us, and they can assign the rebate directly to the contractor, and the contractor applies for the rebate with us.
Gotcha.
The customer can also choose to receive the rebate themselves and then pay the contractor if they want to, but there is no upfront cost to the customer.
Oh, thanks for that clarification.
Absolutely, and we do not have numbers yet on whether the program has increased or decreased, but we see this as an opportunity for increase.
Thank you so much.
I mean, we have had a lot of applications. We've had a lot of applications, but actual implementing of weatherized homes yet, we don't have those numbers back. Thank you, Rudy.
All right, you're it. That's it. One more comment, because this is not actually officially an agenda item, and I do want to stay on track with this.
Thank you, Lassa.
So, Frank, you're good? Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. All right. In the spirit of things that are not on the agenda, but they typically are, so I don't feel too bad about it, I'm going to take a point of personal privilege because we are about to get into our CIC officer election. And before I am no longer chair, I'd like to just take a minute to just extend some gratitude. When I joined the committee on the coattails of the snowdemic, and I know, Rudy, you don't like to hear about it, but I'm going to start there because that's where my Genesis story starts. At the time of my appointment, CPS Energy was responding to the community's press for change, calls for transparency, more support, and empathy. And I have had the benefit of serving and fighting to bring accessibility into how the community can share their comments and experiences. I've actually pushed back on committee's reservations to make this meeting available to the public and worked to cultivate a structure that allowed for these meetings to not only be made available to the public, but for the public to be welcomed and participate in these meetings. I know that the work to balance progress and community care is a delicate responsibility, and I just want to applaud the CPS Energy team for their effort and considerate commitment to strike that balance. I'd like to also take the moment to thank CPS Energy Board of Trustees and Chairwoman Romero for your consistent support and trust in this committee. Thank you for allowing us to be an integral part of the conversations that help shape the direction of this agency, and thank you for your consistent presence at these meetings always. To our CEO, Rudy, thank you just for being a champion in our corner and knowing the importance of community input. I've had the opportunity to work with you in 2 lifetimes now, and I am forever grateful for your stewardship as a customer and your friendship. To the hardworking women of the local government relations team, where do I even begin? Velma, Nancy, Melissa, you all have been my bumpers, helping me navigate all this since day one. And my cup runneth over in appreciation for the respect, support, and reception from each of you, for knowing how important this committee is, understanding that partnership is essential into getting this done, and helping this committee to function. And while I know that Chris isn't here today, I still wanted to make sure to give this woman her flowers because there is so much that is owed to her, and I'd be remiss if I did not give her a spotlight of her own. Christina has been my rock, champion, and sounding board. I do not think anyone understands the number of calls or texts or emails this patient woman received from me, not only as a chair, but when I was just an overly vocal and highly opinionated committee member. Chris, your grace, patience, and effort has never gone unnoticed. You rolled up your sleeves and gave us the autonomy to keep the integrity of this committee alive. From the genesis of this new committee structure, Chris's guidance and outlook helped keep us focused and making something great out of the CIC. Whether it was the countless nudges to check my email, me calling with lots of opinions and ideas, and her helping me iron out all those thoughts to be framed in grace and principle. You've been the super glue that's allowed me to look good, and I will never be able to thank you enough for your belief in me and in this committee. Thank you for your advocacy and support. I am eternally grateful. To Shanna and our legal team, thank you for fact-checking and keeping us in line. I know it's not the most glamorous, but you all keep us focused, and this year, that responsibility was especially vital. To all the folks that presented to us this year, thank you. Thank you for taking us seriously, being receptive to our feedback, and understanding the importance of working together to bring the best products and services to your customers. To my executive committee, we were the first. Thank you for being on this ride with me and sticking it out through all the growing pains. To the CIC, thank you for speaking up. Thank you for taking the responsibility as agents of the communities you represent seriously. Thank you for challenging the status quo and for pushing for further growth. The bar should always be moving for us and CPS Energy to be better than we were last year. Let's keep working to keep each other accountable. Thank you to both Councilman Jalen McKee Rodriguez and Councilman Rick Galvan for appointing me to represent both District 2 and District 6. It has been my honor and it is continued to be my honor to be a champion for my neighbors on the committee, and I look forward to 2 more years of this work. Lastly, and most importantly, to the community. Thank you for entrusting us to represent and vocalize your needs and experiences. Thank you for taking time out of your day to sign up for public comments, for listening to us, and connecting with us. Thank you for keeping us honest. As I pass the torch, please understand that my opinions will still be bold and rooted in the needs of San Antonio and the CPS Energy customers. While we celebrate the work that has been done, there is still so much more to do, and let's do it together. Cheers, y'all. So on that note, we are going to go into the next agenda item, which is the 2026 CIC officer elections. Now, before we begin, as a point of clarification and just getting it out there, we have always utilized Robert's Rules of Order as a framework for structure. So I'm going to just kind of give that as a guiding light. We begin our officers' election for next year. I want to go over the procedure we will use and make each member understand the process, and that way they have an opportunity to ask questions. First, based on our bylaws, to be eligible for an officer position, a committee member must have served at least 1 year on the CIC. There is no other eligibility requirements beyond that. Second, we will conduct the elections one at a time, starting with the chair position, then the vice chair position. Any member of the CIC may nominate a candidate, including themselves. A nomination will require a second. Once all nominations are complete, I will open the floor for discussion, provide 5 minutes for each nominee to address the committee if they choose to do so. After the discussion is complete, I will call for a roll call vote, and each member of the CIC will vote for their preferred nominee. Voting by proxy is not allowed by our bylaws. If there is more than 2 nominees and no nominee receives a simple majority, the top 2 nominees will go to a second round of voting. In the event of a tie, additional rounds of voting will be conducted until one nominee receives a simple majority of votes. For any action taken by the CIC, a quorum is required. Today we have 12 members present, and majority will be 7 votes. With that, let me open up the floor to the committee to see if anyone has questions or comments about the process before we begin. District 2. It is.
Can you clarify who is qualified to be in the chair? I know me and another person came in, and so I don't know who was here before or if they switched.
Yes, so those that have been serving 1 full year, well, that's solely the only requirement.
Can you say who? Like which person, so that I understand a little bit better and put a face to who I can vote for or nominate?
I believe, I think it's just you and Michael Kennick that don't meet the qualification. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions or comments before we open up for a nomination in a second? All right. Well, I'm going to make a nomination to nominate Steve Bonnet as chair if I have a second. Thank you. Do we have any other nominations? All right, hearing none, we will go ahead and go to a vote. Do we want to just do a hand raise? Roll call? Okay. So an aye. Okay. All right, all in favor of Steve Bonnet as a 2026 chair, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Hearing none. Steve, congratulations. I'm glad you were here for it this time. All right. Do you want to say a few words?
Well, I would like to say a few words about you, Lawson. And it's funny because I'm thinking back many, many years ago, early in my career, I was told, and I learned very quickly, that women are much better at multitasking than men. Okay, and I've witnessed that numbers of times. But I've never witnessed somebody like Lawson before. She is amazing. what she, I'll get to the committee in a minute, but whatever, all the other things that she's involved in the community, and we've seen it, she's so involved, it's incredible, and she's so impactful for San Antonio and Bexar County, and I think we all need to be thankful that we have a person like Lawson in our community that takes the leadership positions. But in this group, she's taken us from the CAC to the CIC through that transition. She's just, you know, been on top of everything this year, and very, very has made this committee as active as it's ever been. And then she shocked me when she said, "Okay, we want to update the bylaws." And I'm thinking to myself, "Oh my God, this is going to take. We'll be working on this in 2026." She did it in like 2 months. It was just, I was just amazed. And Lawson, the bottom line is, thank you. I am so glad and fortunate you're staying on the executive committee to help all of us, especially me, in the next year. And that's really, I'm sure I'll have more to say, but in summary, I'm amazed. You are truly a role model for citizens in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And my husband and kid are in the room, so they heard it. It's on the record. I'm really cool. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Have to follow up that one. We're going to go on to vice chair. So similar circumstance. If there is a nomination, we will be taking a nomination and then a second. And Steve?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Maria Nelson for vice chair. Another lady that is superior in her ability to multitask. Would love to have her, and hope you guys will consider her.
And I will second that. Do we have any other nominations for vice chair? Hearing none. All right. Similar to last time, we will be taking a voice vote. All in favor of making Maria Nelson vice chair for 2026, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none. Congratulations, lady. All righty. Before I adjourn, Richard, you came just in time. Richard Farias will be rolling off the CIC, and I just want to extend my sincere gratitude and appreciation for the work and the level of responsibility and commitment that you've always given to this role, and the dedication that you've given, your opinions, your outlook, everything that you've done, all the sweat equity that has gone into this, all the whiteboard meetings, the conversations that we've had, just trying to ensure that we both were driven by the same goal of making sure that this committee was community focused, community driven, and a champion for those. And I cannot thank you enough for all that you've done here and outside of these walls. You're going to be sorely missed, and it's a large seat to fill with you being gone. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Lawson and all, and my apologies for arriving late. I'm very sorry to have to leave this board. This year has proven difficult with juggling work responsibilities during the workday it's never been like this in the 5 years that I've been on this, almost 5 years that I've been part of CIC. So I've had to make the difficult decision to have to step away. So thank you for your leadership, Lawson. Thank you for the collegiality for everyone on this group. And sorry for this, but I don't think any of us do being on a board unless you can fulfill the requirements, and work has just taken me in a different path. So thank you all, and appreciate being able to be part of this and the evolution of this group over the last several years. So thank you.
Thank you, Richard. And Maria, do you want to say a few words as the incoming vice chair?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the vote of confidence. And I'm having a really full circle moment. I don't know if a lot of people know this. Steve Bonnet was my first boss. This was back in gosh, probably best not to say the year. But
20 years ago when you were a teenager.
thank you, thank you, Steve. So the fact that now I get to work with you, Steve, in this capacity and volunteer and continue to serve our community is really an honor. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you. And then also, I just want to make a point to let everybody know we do have an opening for our at-large position. That application is open now, so I encourage you, get the word out, send it to those that you think that would fill the responsibilities and would be a great voice to have at this table. So that way we can ensure that we are being as intentional with wanting to fulfill that role. So please, please, please go into your networks and your circles and encourage folks to apply. Before I close, Chairwoman, would you like to say anything? Do you have any comments or as a last meeting?
Thank you. I just want to thank Lawson again for all you've done for us and to congratulate our incoming leadership and all of you for sticking with us. You know, I don't know, I think there's a little bit of good news. I'm always looking at the ERCOT app, so I'll leave you with this bit of good news that right now the ERCOT grid, and this is not unusual, is running on 60% wind and solar power, and with 10% nuclear, we're 70% non-carbon right now, with batteries doing an amazing job too. So that'll be my good news for the day, and it's great to see y'all here. Thank you all so much. All you do, this is just so important to us on the board to have this group and to get your feedback. It's just huge to us. So thank you all so much, and I hope you have a great holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Alrighty, folks, the time is 4:05. It is December 10th. I wish you all a blessed and warm and safe and prosperous holiday season. And I'll see you next year. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.